Welcome, my friend. Stop for a moment and come back to your life. Put your phone down and let your shoulders drop. Sit straight, softly, like you respect your own future. Close your eyes for 2 seconds and take one slow breath. Now ask yourself honestly, do you feel alive each day, or do you only move through it? From the outside, many people look fine. They have work, friends, food, and a place to sleep. But inside, something feels missing. They wake up tired even after sleep. They rush all day and feel empty at night. They scroll for hours, then feel guilty for wasting time. And tomorrow, they repeat the same life again. This is a story about a man like that. His name is Ethan. He was not a bad person, and he was not lazy. He worked hard and tried to be responsible. But every morning, his heart felt heavy. His life was busy on the outside, but confused on the inside. He had a routine, but he had no clear direction. Ethan's days were full, yet his mind felt blank. He woke up late because he slept too late. He grabbed his phone before he even stood up. His eyes looked at other people's lives before he saw his own. He told himself it was just a quick check. But the quick check became 20 minutes. Then he rushed, angry at the clock, angry at himself. He arrived at work with a tired face and a quiet stress. He did tasks, answered messages, and smiled when needed. People thought he was doing fine. He looked normal, and normal is easy to hide inside. But in his chest, there was a weight he could not explain. Not pain like a wound, but heaviness like a slow fog. At lunch, he ate without tasting the food. He watched videos, read news, and jumped between apps. His mind was busy, but his heart stayed empty. Sometimes he laughed at a funny clip, but the laughter ended fast, like a light that turns off. Then the emptiness returned, calm and cold. After work, he went home with low energy. He told himself he deserved rest because he worked hard. So he lay down and scrolled again. One video became 10. 1 hour became 3. He did not feel happy, but he did not stop. Night came and his room was quiet, but his mind was loud with unfinished thoughts. He said, "Tomorrow I will start fresh." He said, "Tomorrow I will wake up early." He said, "Tomorrow I will change." Then he watched one more video, then another. Then he looked at the time and felt disappointed again. That was his cycle. Wake up late, rush, work, feel tired, scroll, sleep late, repeat. Not because he loved that life, but because it was familiar and easy. Comfort felt safe, like a soft chair. But comfort also made him weaker, little by little. And while he stayed comfortable, his dreams slowly disappeared. Ethan used to have dreams. Not perfect dreams, but real ones. He wanted to improve his skills. He wanted to build something that felt meaningful. He wanted to feel proud of his own growth. But those dreams became quiet. They died slowly, through small choices. One late morning. One wasted evening. One excuse, again and again. Sometimes he noticed it. On Sunday nights, he felt a strange sadness. He would sit on his bed and feel time moving too fast. He would think, "Is this all my life will be?" Then he would push the thought away. He would open his phone and escape. Listen carefully. Most people do not choose their life. They simply follow it. They follow habits, routines, and comfort. They move fast, but go nowhere. They stay busy, but feel lost. They work hard, but they do not know why. They are simply asleep inside their own days. Comfort is not always evil. But comfort becomes dangerous when it becomes a cage. It steals your future quietly. It whispers, "Not today." It says, "You can start later," and later becomes never if you keep choosing it. Ethan did not see this at first. He thought he needed a big push, a big moment. He waited for the perfect time, but the perfect time never arrived. Because life does not bring you clarity. You build it, one choice at a time. Then one day something small happened. Not a miracle. Not a loud motivational speech. Just a quiet moment that hit him deeply. He came home later than usual. His body felt heavy, and his head felt full. He dropped his bag and sat on the edge of his bed. His phone was in his hand again. His thumb was ready to scroll again. He opened an app and the screen lit his face. He saw people smiling, traveling, winning, posting success. He watched and his chest felt tighter. He was tired of his own life. He put the phone down slowly. He stared at the wall, not knowing what he felt. Then a simple truth rose inside him. He became tired of being tired. Tired of repeating days that felt meaningless. Tired of waiting for change that never came. Tired of feeling empty when life looked normal. In that silence, he felt something new. It was a clear discomfort, like waking up from a long sleep. He realized something was wrong, but he did not run away. For the first time in a long time, he stayed with the feeling. And then, a question appeared in his mind, a question that most people are afraid to ask. A question that does not feel safe. A question that forces you to face the truth. He felt nervous because he sensed the answer would change him. He stood up and walked to the window. The city lights looked calm, but his mind felt restless. He knew he could not hide from this forever, and he also knew the next words would decide the direction of his life. That night, Ethan did not sleep fast. He turned in bed and listened to his own thoughts. He remembered the dreams he stopped talking about. He remembered the energy he used to have. He remembered the proud feeling of learning something new. And he felt sadness because he missed himself. Still, he did not quit on himself. He did not say, "I am broken." He did not say, "I cannot change." He simply admitted the truth. He was living without direction. He was working hard but without purpose. He was moving fast, but on the wrong path. When you see that truth clearly, something changes. The problem is no longer a mystery. You stop fighting the wrong enemy. You stop blaming the world for your own habits. You start to see the real battle, not outside you but inside you. Not in big dramatic moments, but in small daily choices. The next morning, Ethan woke up and reached for his phone again. His hand moved like a habit, fast and automatic. But then he stopped. He remembered the question from last night. He felt a small fear because questions demand action, so he sat on the bed, breathing slowly, and stayed still. He said the question out loud, clearly this time. If nothing changes, will I be happy with my life in 5 years? He waited after saying it. He did not rush to answer. He let the words sink into his chest. And the truth rose up, simple and painful. No. If nothing changes, he will not be happy. That answer did not destroy him. It did not break his heart. It woke him up. Because pain can be a teacher when you listen calmly. He realized he was not weak for feeling empty. He was not failing because he was lazy. He was failing because he had no clear direction. He was building days but not building a future. Ethan looked at his room like seeing it for the first time. The bed where he scrolled for hours. The desk where he avoided real work. The clothes on the chair, always waiting for later. Everything said the same message. I will do it someday. And suddenly, he understood something important. Someday is not a day on the calendar. Someday is a lie that comfort tells you. He went to work that day, but his mind felt different. He still did the same tasks. He still answered the same messages, but inside he watched himself. He noticed how often he escaped into his phone. He noticed how often he avoided deep thinking. He noticed how often he said yes to comfort, and with each notice, he gained a little power. After work, he did something small. He did not try to change his whole life overnight. He did not make a perfect schedule. He did not say big words like, "new me." He simply made one small decision. He sat at his desk for 10 minutes with no phone. Just 10 minutes. It felt strange and uncomfortable. In those 10 minutes, he asked a second question. What do I want my life to look like in 5 years? Not what looks good online. Not what makes other people impressed. What feels meaningful to me. He wrote a few simple words on paper. Health. Skill. Peace. Work. I respect. A life I do not want to escape from. The words were simple, but they felt alive. He stared at them and felt a small hope, not a loud hope, a quiet hope, like a candle in a dark room. He realized he did not need motivation first. He needed clarity first, because motivation comes and goes, but clarity stays if you keep returning to it. That night, he created a tiny rule. 1 hour before sleep, no scrolling. Not forever. Not perfect. Just 1 hour. He put his phone on the table across the room. He felt nervous, like he was losing something. That showed him how addicted he was to distraction. But he stayed calm and kept the rule. In that 1 hour, he did something boring but powerful. He prepared for tomorrow. He set his clothes. He wrote one small goal. Not 10 goals, just one. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. That was it. Small enough to do. Big enough to matter. The next morning, his alarm rang. His body wanted to stay in bed. His mind offered excuses. It is cold. You are tired. Just 5 more minutes. Ethan smiled because he recognized the voice. It was comfort, trying to keep him asleep. So he did a simple trick. He stood up before thinking too much. He went to the sink and washed his face. He took one slow breath. He did not feel inspired. He did not feel like a hero. He felt normal, but for the first time, normal felt good. He sat down with a notebook for 5 minutes. He wrote 3 lines. What matters today? One task that moves my life forward. One distraction I will avoid tonight. That was all. Then he went to work, and something strange happened. He felt lighter, because he had a plan. The plan did not make life perfect. He still got tired. He still felt stress. He still wanted to scroll. But now he could see the difference. Before, he was drifting in the ocean. Now, he had a small boat and a compass. He was not at the destination, but he was finally moving in the right direction. Of course, growth brings resistance. On the 3rd day, he failed. He slept late again. He woke up and scrolled again. He missed the morning notebook. He felt disappointment rise inside him. And the old voice said, "See, you cannot change." That voice is dangerous because it sounds like truth. But Ethan did something new. He did not hate himself. He did not quit. He did not say, "I ruined everything." He said, "I slipped and I will restart." Then he did the smallest restart possible. He wrote one sentence on paper. "I restart today, calmly." And he did one good action. He walked for 10 minutes after work. That walk was not magic, but it taught him a lesson. Progress is not perfect. Progress is repeated returns to the path. Discipline is not a strong feeling. Discipline is coming back even when you fail. And every time you come back, you become stronger, not suddenly, quietly. Weeks passed. Ethan kept the tiny habits. Wake up a little earlier. Write one goal. Protect 1 hour at night. Some days were good. Some days were messy, but the direction stayed. And because the direction stayed, his mind became calmer. One evening, he noticed something surprising. He opened his phone and got bored fast. The videos were loud, but his mind was calmer. He did not need the noise as much. He wanted real life more. That was a sign. His identity was changing. Not from big motivation, from small habits repeated. Then one weekend, he celebrated his progress. He stayed up late. He scrolled again. He skipped the notebook. He skipped the walk. He told himself it was only one weekend, but the weekend became 3 days. 3 days became a week. And slowly, he felt the fog returning. He felt the old heaviness in his chest. He felt the old tired mind. He felt the old empty feeling. He did not panic. He did not hate himself. He did not say, "I lost everything." He said, "My old life is trying to come back." And he made a decision. He would return again. He opened his notebook and wrote one line at the top of a new page. "If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years?" Then he wrote one more sentence under it. "I choose to change again." That night, he restarted with one anchor. 1 hour before sleep, no scrolling. He put the phone away. He felt uncomfortable. His mind wanted noise. His fingers wanted movement, but he stayed still. He looked at the ceiling and breathed. He let the discomfort pass. And after 15 minutes, something happened. His mind became quieter. His body softened. He felt peaceful. That peace reminded him why he started. And it also reminded him of something else. He was not doing this to be perfect. He was doing this to be free, and the next day he would take the next small step, not because he felt ready, but because he finally understood. Direction is built. It is not found, and the next small step was waiting for him. Ethan began to understand something important. Change is not a straight line. Change is a rhythm. Fall, return, fall, return, and each return makes you stronger. He stopped calling himself weak. He stopped calling himself a failure. He started calling it training. Just like a muscle. You do not build a muscle in one workout. You build it by showing up again and again. Ethan also began to notice his triggers. He noticed what pulled him back into the old life. Stress after work. Boredom on quiet nights. Fear before a hard task. Loneliness on weekends. These were the moments when comfort whispered loud. One evening he came home exhausted. His mind said, "You deserve to escape." His hand reached for the phone. Then he paused and asked a new question. "What am I feeling right now?" He listened. He felt tired. He felt overwhelmed. He felt pressure about tomorrow. He felt a small fear he did not want to admit. Then he asked another question. "What do I actually need right now?" The answer was not more noise. The answer was rest and peace. So he did something different. He put his phone on the table. He took a slow shower. He ate something simple. He sat in silence for 5 minutes. At first, silence felt uncomfortable. When you live in noise, silence feels too honest. Silence brings your real thoughts back. Silence brings your real dreams back. Silence brings your real pain back, but silence also brings your strength back. Because strength is not loud. Strength is calm. Strength is calm, being able to stay with your life. That night, Ethan made a small plan. Not a strict plan, a friendly plan. A plan he could actually follow. He chose 3 anchor habits. 1 for the morning, 1 for the daytime, 1 for the night. Morning anchor. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. No phone for 10 minutes. Write 1 clear goal. Daytime anchor. 1 focus block at work. Just 30 minutes of deep work. No jumping tasks. 1 task only. Night anchor. 1 hour before sleep. No scrolling. Prepare tomorrow. Sleep earlier. These anchors were not huge, but they were steady. They created stability. And stability is what the mind needs to grow. Some days Ethan missed 1 anchor. Some days he missed 2. But he did not quit. He returned. And because he returned, the anchors became stronger. A strange thing started to happen. His energy began to change. Not because life became easier, but because his mind stopped fighting himself all day. Before, he lived with guilt. Guilt in the morning for waking late. Guilt at lunch for wasting time. Guilt at night for scrolling again. Guilt is heavy. It drains you more than work. Now, he lived with honesty. He saw his choices clearly. He accepted the truth without hate, and that acceptance gave him power. One afternoon, Ethan's manager asked him to lead a small project. It was not a big promotion. It was not a life-changing job, but it was a chance. Old Ethan would have avoided it. Old Ethan would have said, "I'm not ready." Old Ethan would have stayed safe. This time, Ethan still felt fear. But he also felt direction, so he said yes. That night, he sat at his desk and made a simple plan. He broke the project into small steps. He chose 1 step to do tomorrow. Not 5 steps. 1. The next day, he did that 1 step. It was not perfect, but it was done. Day by day, he repeated the same method. 1 step, then 1 step, then another, and slowly the project stopped feeling scary. It started feeling possible. During that time, Ethan learned a new truth. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after action. You build confidence by keeping promises. Even small promises, especially small promises. Weeks later, he finished the project well. His manager thanked him. His co-workers respected his calm focus. Ethan walked to his car and felt something warm. Not excitement, not a loud victory. Quiet pride. That night, he opened his notebook and looked back. The first pages were messy. Short sentences, tiny goals, small restarts. But the pages were proof. He was not stuck. He was moving. Ethan also started caring for his body. Not with extreme workouts, not with painful plans, with small actions. A 10-minute walk after dinner, a little stretching in the morning, more water, less late-night junk food, earlier sleep when he could. These small choices did something powerful. They changed his identity. He started to think, I am someone who takes care of myself. And when your habits match your identity, they become easier. But growth always brings resistance. And soon, a new enemy appeared. Not laziness, not fear, pride. The voice that says, you are fine now. You can relax. You deserve a break. Just one day. Just one weekend. Ethan listened to that voice. He stayed up late. He scrolled again. He skipped the notebook. He skipped the walk. He told himself it was only a small break. But the break became a pattern. One late night became 3. 3 became a week, and slowly he felt the fog returning. He noticed it fast. He felt the old heaviness in his chest. He felt the old tired mind. He felt the old empty feeling. He did not panic. He did not hate himself. He did not say, "I lost everything." He said, "My old life is trying to come back." And he made a decision. He opened his notebook and wrote the question again. If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years? Then he wrote one more sentence under it. I choose to change again. That night, he restarted with one anchor, night anchor. 1 hour before sleep, no scrolling. He put the phone away. He felt uncomfortable. His mind wanted noise. His fingers wanted movement, but he stayed still. He looked at the ceiling and breathed. He let the discomfort rise and fall like a wave. And after 15 minutes, something happened. His body softened. His mind became quieter. He felt peace return. That peace reminded him why he started. He was not doing this to be perfect. He was doing this to be free. And the next day, he would take the next small step. Not because he felt ready, but because he finally understood. Direction is built. It is not found. And the next small step was waiting for him. The next day, Ethan added the morning anchor again. Not perfectly, not like a robot. Just quietly. He woke up 30 minutes earlier. He sat on the edge of his bed and took one slow breath. He did not touch his phone for 10 minutes. At first, the urge felt strong. His mind wanted to escape into noise. But he stayed present. He opened his notebook and wrote one goal. Not a big goal. A real goal. One task that would move his life forward. Then he went to work, and something felt different. The day still had stress. The day still had problems. But he had direction, and direction made the stress lighter. Ethan began to understand why he used to feel empty. It was not because life was unfair. It was not because he had no talent. It was because he was living without a clear target. He was moving, but not aiming. He started seeing time differently. Before, time was something that happened to him. Now, time was something he could use, even small pieces of time. He stopped wasting his best hours. He started giving his best hours to his future, not every day, but more often than before. Weeks passed again, and Ethan began to notice quiet changes. He felt less rushed in the morning. He felt calmer at work. He made fewer mistakes. He finished tasks faster, not because he became smarter overnight, but because his mind was less scattered. One afternoon, he sat at his desk and realized something. He had been focused for 30 minutes without checking his phone. That used to be impossible. Now it was normal. He smiled softly, because that was a win. A real win. Not a win people clap for. A win your future claps for. Ethan also noticed his evenings changing. In the past, evenings were a tunnel. He entered the tunnel and disappeared. Hours of scrolling. Hours of noise. Then guilt. Then sleep. Now, evenings became a reset. He still rested, but he rested with intention. He ate slowly. He cleaned one small thing. He prepared tomorrow. He protected the last hour of the night, and his sleep improved. When you stop feeding your mind endless noise, your mind can finally rest. He started waking with a little more energy. Not perfect energy, but better than before. One weekend, Ethan walked outside early. The air felt cool. The street felt quiet. He realized he had not seen mornings like this in a long time. He watched the sky for a moment and felt something simple. Gratitude. Not gratitude for a perfect life. Gratitude for a new direction. He began to think about his future with less fear. Before, the future felt like a wall he could not climb. Now, the future felt like a path. A long path, yes, but a path he could walk. He also started learning again. Nothing dramatic. 15 minutes a day. Sometimes reading, sometimes watching a short lesson, sometimes practicing a skill. At first, 15 minutes felt too small. Then he understood the truth. 15 minutes every day is powerful, because it is not about one day. It is about the pattern. Small habits do not look strong in one moment, but they become strong over time. Like water on stone, quiet, slow, and unstoppable. Ethan's relationships began to change too. Not because he became a different person, but because he became more present. When he talked to people, he listened better. He stopped checking his phone during conversations. He looked into eyes. He noticed tone. He noticed feelings. He started to understand people more, and people began to feel safe around him, because presence is rare, and when someone is present with you, it feels like respect. One night, Ethan met an old friend for coffee. They talked about work, life, and stress. The friend asked, "How are you really?" Ethan almost said, "I'm fine." That was his old habit. But he paused. He took one slow breath, and he told the truth. He said, "I was lost for a long time." The friend looked surprised. Ethan continued calmly, "I had a normal life, but I felt empty. I was busy, but I had no direction. I kept escaping into my phone. I kept waiting for life to change." The friend asked, "What changed?" Ethan smiled softly and said, "One question." He did not make it complicated. He did not act like a guru. He simply said the truth. One honest question, and one small habit, then another. That's it. His friend grew quiet, because deep down, everyone understands this. Most people are not far from a new life. They're just one honest question away, and one small daily choice away. That night, Ethan drove home slowly. The city lights looked peaceful. He felt calm inside. Not because all problems were gone, but because he was no longer running from his life. He was living it. And slowly, he started to notice something surprising. Scrolling became less interesting. The videos became loud. The jokes became empty. The news became exhausting. He realized distraction had been filling a space inside him, a space that needed direction, not noise. A space that needed purpose, not entertainment. Ethan began to replace noise with something better, clarity. He started asking himself small questions each day. What matters today? What is the next right step? What am I avoiding? What would future me thank me for? These questions kept him awake inside his own life. They pulled him back when he drifted. They reminded him of the path. But life still tested him. Some weeks were heavy. Work became stressful. A family problem appeared. His body felt tired again. One night, he came home and felt the old urge. The urge to disappear into comfort. The urge to scroll until he could not feel. He sat on his bed and held his phone. His thumb hovered above the screen. He could feel the old pattern calling him back. Then he stopped. He remembered the peace he had been building. He remembered how far he had come. And he made a decision. He put the phone down. He stood up. He walked to the window. He looked outside and whispered the question again. If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years? The question did not hurt him now. It guided him. It reminded him of what was real. He turned back to his room. He opened his notebook. He wrote one simple sentence. Tonight, I return. Then he wrote the next sentence. One small step. And that night, he took that step. He protected the last hour. He prepared tomorrow. He went to sleep earlier. It was not dramatic. It was quiet. But quiet change lasts, because real change is not a one-time explosion. Real change is a daily choice. And Ethan was finally learning how to choose. Months passed, not with fireworks, not with a dramatic transformation. Just normal days, repeated with better choices. Ethan still woke up tired sometimes. He still had stressful weeks. He still felt fear before hard tasks. But he had a practice now. A way to come back to himself. A way to return to the path. He kept the morning anchor simple. Wake up. Breathe. No phone for 10 minutes. Notebook. One goal. Some mornings, his goal was big. Some mornings, his goal was small. Finish one important task. Go for a short walk. Study for 15 minutes. Sleep before midnight. Small goals can look weak. But small goals done daily become a strong life. Ethan also learned to protect his attention. He understood something most people ignore. Your attention is your life. What you look at every day shapes your mind. What you feed your mind becomes your thoughts. Your thoughts become your choices. And your choices become your future. So he made his phone less powerful. He removed the apps that stole his nights. He turned off notifications. He stopped sleeping with the phone next to his pillow. At first it felt strange, like he was missing something. Then it felt free, like he was getting his life back. One afternoon, he opened his phone and felt bored. Not tired, not addicted. Bored. He smiled because that boredom was a sign. He was no longer a slave to distraction. Ethan started learning again. 15 minutes a day. Sometimes reading. Sometimes watching a lesson. Sometimes practicing a skill. He stopped asking, "Is this enough?" He started asking, "Can I keep this going?" Because the real power is not in one day. The real power is in the pattern. His work improved. He completed tasks faster. He made fewer mistakes. He felt calmer in meetings. He spoke with more clarity. Not because he became smarter overnight, but because his mind was less scattered. His attention was no longer leaking everywhere. His relationships improved too. When he stopped living in his phone, he became more present. He listened better. He reacted less. He understood people more. A calm mind can see clearly. One weekend, Ethan visited his parents. He sat at the kitchen table and watched them talk. He noticed small details. The way his mother smiled. The way his father moved slower than before. He felt a gentle sadness, not a dark sadness, a loving sadness, because life is moving. In the past, that feeling would have pushed him to escape. Now it pushed him to appreciate. He stayed present. He asked his father questions. He listened to his mother's stories. He laughed with them. He felt something rare. Connection. On the drive home, he realized another truth. When you stop escaping, you start loving more. You start loving your time. You start loving your people. You start loving your own growth. His life became quieter inside. The fog was not gone forever. Sometimes it returned, but now he knew what to do. When the fog returned, he asked the question again. If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years? Then he asked a second question. What is one small change I can do today? That second question was his tool. Because the future is not built by big speeches. The future is built by small actions. Ethan stopped waiting for motivation. He finally understood the difference. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation is like the weather. It changes. Discipline is like a compass. It guides you. Some mornings he felt excited. Some mornings he felt empty. But he kept the anchors. Because anchors do not need feelings. Anchors need commitment. One day, Ethan walked past a mirror in a shop window. He saw his face and stopped. His eyes looked clearer. His posture looked stronger. Not like a superhero. Like a man who respects himself. He remembered the old days. Late nights. Heavy mornings. Endless scrolling. Empty weekends. And he felt gratitude. Because he did not stay there. Ethan realized real change is quiet. There is no loud music. No big applause. No perfect moment. There is just a new normal. A normal where you choose your life. If you are waiting for a dramatic moment, stop waiting. Your life will not change because of one emotional night. Your life changes because of what you do the next morning, and the next night, and the next week. Direction matters more than speed. You can run fast and still be lost. You can stay busy and still go nowhere. But if you walk slowly in the right direction, you will arrive. Ethan was not special. He was not born with strong discipline. He was not born with perfect focus. He simply reached a point where he became honest. He became tired of escaping. He became tired of waiting, and he asked the right question. Then he started small, very small, and he returned again and again. Now, I want you to take a quiet moment, not a dramatic moment, a quiet moment. Ask yourself the same thing. If nothing changes, will you be happy with your life in 5 years? If you keep waking up tired, if you keep rushing all day, if you keep scrolling all night, if you keep telling yourself, someday, will you be happy? Do not answer fast. Let the question sit inside you. The answer might feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is often the door, and after you answer, choose one small change. Not 10. 1. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Write one goal. Protect 1 hour at night. Walk for 10 minutes. Study for 15 minutes. Drink water. Prepare tomorrow. One small action, then do it again the next day. And if you fail, return. Return calmly. Return without hate. Because you are not broken. You are not late. You are not hopeless. You might just be living without direction. And direction is something you can choose today, right now. With one honest question and one small habit. And when you choose that, you will feel it. Not all at once, but slowly. You will feel your life coming back to you. After that, Ethan did not stop. He did not treat this like a challenge for 1 month. He treated it like a new way to live. He started seeing his days as choices. Small choices. Quiet choices. Choices that looked boring, but choices that built a future. He also stopped thinking he needed more time. He realized something simple. You do not need more time. You need less distraction. So he kept tightening the small boundaries. Not in a harsh way, in a kind way. He kept the last hour at night protected. He kept the first 10 minutes in the morning protected. And he kept one focused block during the day protected. These small protections changed everything. Because attention is like water. If you keep leaking it, you feel empty. If you hold it, you feel strong. One morning, Ethan woke up and felt a strange calm. He looked at his phone and did not touch it. He went to the kitchen and drank water. He stood by the window and watched the light outside. He realized he used to wake up in panic. Now he woke up with space. And space is powerful. Space is where you think. Space is where you choose. Space is where you hear your real voice. He sat down and wrote in his notebook, not only goals, but thoughts. He wrote what he feared. He wrote what he wanted. He wrote what he kept avoiding, and as he wrote, he noticed something. His mind was not his enemy. His mind was just overloaded. It was tired. It was begging for direction. Ethan began to build clarity like a skill. He asked himself the same simple questions again and again. What matters today? What is the next right step? What am I avoiding and why? What would future me thank me for? These questions kept him awake. They pulled him back when he drifted. They made him honest. Then life tested him in a new way. Not with laziness, not with boredom, with pressure. A bigger project arrived at work. More responsibility, more deadlines, more eyes watching him. Old Ethan would have panicked. Old Ethan would have escaped. Old Ethan would have numbed himself at night. This time, Ethan still felt fear, but he did not run. He did what he had trained to do. He chose one step. He wrote the project down. He broke it into parts. He chose the first small part to start. Then he started. He did not feel ready, but he moved anyway. That week, he learned another truth. Stress is not always the enemy. Stress becomes dangerous only when you avoid it. When you face stress with action, stress becomes growth. Some nights he wanted to quit. Some nights his mind shouted, "This is too much." He listened, then answered quietly, "One step." He protected his sleep more during that time. He stopped drinking too much caffeine late. He stopped scrolling into the night. He needed his brain sharp, not noisy. Day by day, he made progress. Not huge progress, real progress. And when the project ended, he felt something deep, strength. Because he did not run. He stayed. He handled pressure with structure. He handled fear with small steps. That success changed how he saw himself. He stopped saying, "I'm the type of person who always drifts." He started saying, "I'm the type of person who returns," and that identity became his foundation. But even with progress, Ethan still had hard days. There were mornings when he felt heavy again. There were evenings when loneliness hit him. There were weekends when life felt quiet in a painful way. One Saturday, he woke up and felt empty, not tired, empty, like nothing mattered. He sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. The old pattern called him. Scroll all day. Eat junk. Sleep late. Escape. He almost did it. Then he remembered something. The question is not only for 5 years. The question is also for today. He asked himself softly, "If nothing changes today, will I feel proud tonight?" The answer was no. So he chose the smallest change. He got up. He made the bed. Just that. Then he washed his face. Then he opened the window. He took a slow breath and said, "One step." Then he went outside for a short walk. The air was cold. The street was quiet. He walked with no music, no phone, just walking. At first, his mind stayed loud. Then the noise began to settle. He started noticing simple things. Trees moving, cars passing, a dog barking, a person jogging. He realized the world was real. and he had been living inside a screen. When he came home, he felt a little better. Not happy, but clearer. Clear enough to choose the next step. He ate something decent. He cleaned one small corner of his room. He studied for 15 minutes. And that night, he slept earlier. The day was not perfect, but it was saved. Because he returned. This is what most people do not understand. You do not need a perfect life to feel peace. You need a life that you are not running from. Ethan started building that life. Not by changing everything, but by changing how he responds. Old Ethan responded to discomfort with escape. New Ethan responded to discomfort with direction. And slowly, that response became automatic. One evening, Ethan sat at his desk and looked at his notebook. He saw the pattern of returning, the pattern of one step, the pattern of one step. He realized something that made him emotional. His life was not empty because he lacked talent. His life was empty because he lacked intention. But intention is a choice you can make every day. He also realized this: you cannot think your way into a new life. You must act your way into it. Even small actions, especially small actions. So he made a promise to himself, not a loud promise, a quiet promise. I will not leave my future to comfort. I will not wait for motivation. I will build direction, one day at a time. And when he wrote those words, he felt calm, because calm is what happens when your inside and outside match. He was no longer pretending. He was no longer drifting. He was becoming real. And the best part is this: he did not become real by doing something dramatic. He became real by doing something simple. He stayed. He listened. He asked the question. And he took the next small step. And now, something new was coming. Not a perfect ending, but a deeper understanding. A truth that would guide him for the rest of his life. Ethan did not notice the biggest change at first, because the biggest change was quiet. It was not his schedule. It was not his job. It was not his body. It was his relationship with himself. Before, he treated himself like a problem. He treated himself like someone who needed to be fixed. He spoke to himself with harsh words. He pushed himself with shame, and when he failed, he disappeared. Now, he spoke to himself differently. Not soft in a weak way. Soft in a strong way. The way a real mentor speaks. The way a good friend guides you. And that changed everything. Because the voice inside you becomes the life you live. One night, Ethan sat alone at his desk. The room was quiet. The light was warm. His phone was across the room, not in his hand. He opened his notebook and stared at a blank page. He felt something unusual. He felt honest. Not dramatic. Not emotional in a loud way. Just honest. He wrote one sentence. I have been running from my life. He stopped. He breathed. He did not judge the sentence. He did not fight it. He simply let it be true. Then he wrote another sentence. I want to stop running. Those words were simple, but they felt heavy. Heavy in a good way. Like holding something real for the first time. Ethan started to see the pattern clearly. His old life was not random. It was built. Built by tiny choices. Built by comfort. Built by avoidance. Built by distraction. And his new life was also being built. Built by tiny choices. Built by direction. Built by returning. Built by one small step. That was the real difference. Not what he wanted, but what he practiced. Ethan also realized something about pain. Most people think pain is the enemy. They try to remove it fast. They try to escape it. They try to cover it with noise. But Ethan saw a deeper truth. Pain becomes dangerous only when you avoid it. When you face pain with honesty, pain becomes a message. It tells you something needs to change. So when he felt heavy, he listened. When he felt heavy, he asked why. When he felt lost, he returned a direction. He began to treat his feelings like signals, not like monsters. Signals. One Saturday evening, Ethan got an invitation. A small get-together. People he knew. Music, snacks, smiles. The kind of thing that looks fun on the outside. He almost said no. Old Ethan would have said no. Old Ethan would have said no. Old Ethan would have stayed home and scrolled, because staying home felt safe. But he paused. He asked himself a question. What am I avoiding? The answer came quickly. He was avoiding people because he felt insecure. He was afraid he would feel awkward. He was afraid he would not belong. He wrote one line in his notebook. I will go for 1 hour. Not the whole night. Not a big promise. 1 hour. He went. His heart beat faster when he walked in. He smiled and greeted people. He listened more than he talked. He stayed calm. And something surprising happened. He felt normal. Not perfect, not the life of the party, just normal. And normal was enough. On the way home, he felt proud, not because the night was amazing, but because he did not run. That night, he understood another truth. Courage is not loud. Courage is showing up. Even when you feel small. Weeks later, Ethan faced another test, a day that felt heavy from the start. He woke up tired. His mind felt cloudy. Work was stressful. A mistake happened. Someone spoke to him with a sharp tone. He felt the old urge rise. The urge to say, forget it. The urge to disappear into comfort. The urge to scroll until he could not feel. He drove home with a tight chest. He walked into his apartment and dropped his keys. His phone was right there, waiting like a door back into the old life. He picked it up. He stared at the screen. His thumb hovered. He could feel his mind trying to escape. Then he did something new. He put the phone down and sat on the floor, right there. No music, no video, no escape. He closed his eyes for 2 seconds. He took one slow breath, and he asked himself quietly, what do I need right now? The answer was not entertainment. The answer was relief, real relief. The kind that comes from facing your life, not avoiding it. So he did the simplest thing. He stood up and wrote in his notebook, I had a hard day. I feel stressed. I want to escape. But I will not disappear. Then he wrote one more line, one small step. He did one small step. He washed the dishes. Not all of them, just a few. He cleaned one small corner of the room. He took a short shower. He made a simple meal. He sat at the table and ate slowly. As he ate, his body softened. His mind calmed down. He felt the fog pulling back a little. That was the lesson. Even on your worst days, you can choose one small step, and that one step keeps your future alive. Ethan started calling these moments saving the day. Not saving it perfectly, saving it from being lost. Saving it from becoming another empty repeat. He also learned to forgive his past, not in a fake way, in a real way. He realized something important. His past habits were not proof that he was weak. They were proof that he was coping. He had been using comfort to survive. Now he was learning a better way to live. This made him kinder to himself, and kindness made him stronger. Because shame creates more hiding, but kindness creates more returning. Over time, Ethan's life began to feel more honest. He still worked. He still had responsibilities. But the inside of his life changed. He felt more awake in the morning. He felt more present during the day. He felt more peaceful at night. And something else happened. His dreams began to speak again. Not huge dreams, not fantasy dreams, real dreams. He started thinking about what kind of work he wanted to do. He started thinking about what kind of person he wanted to become. He started thinking about what he wanted to create. He started thinking about what he wanted to give. These thoughts did not scare him anymore. They motivated him quietly. Because now he had evidence. Evidence that he could change. Evidence that he could return. Evidence that he could build. One evening, Ethan opened an old folder on his computer. Notes from years ago. Ideas he once had. Projects he once wanted to start. He read them and felt a deep emotion. Not regret. Hope. He realized he was not too late. He was just delayed by comfort, and comfort can be replaced. He wrote a new line in his notebook. I am back. Then he wrote another line. I will build slowly. That night he made a new plan. Not a big plan. A simple plan. He chose one project, one skill, one focus. He chose something realistic, something he could practice a little each day, and he promised himself this. He would not chase speed, he would chase direction. Because direction matters more than speed, and he had learned this the hard way. Now Ethan's days were no longer empty repeats. They became small pieces of a bigger story. A story he was choosing, but there was still one final truth he had to face. A truth deeper than habits. A truth about time. Because habits change your days, but time changes your life. And one night, Ethan would see time in a way he never forgot. It would not be dramatic. It would be quiet. But it would hit him harder than anything. And when it happened, he would understand the real meaning of the question. If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years? Because 5 years is not far. It is closer than most people think, and Ethan was about to feel that truth. One evening, Ethan sat in his car after work and did not start the engine. The parking lot was quiet. The sky was darkening. The light from a street lamp fell across the dashboard. He looked at the clock. He looked at his hands on the steering wheel. And a strange thought landed in his mind. This day is gone. Not in a sad way. In a real way. This exact day would never return. No replay. No undo. No second chance. He sat there and felt time. Not like a number. Like a moving river. He remembered how many nights he used to scroll until he felt nothing. He remembered how many mornings he used to rush and hate himself. He remembered how many weekends he used to lose. And for a moment, he felt a deep, quiet grief. Not grief for money. Not grief for success. Grief for time. He whispered softly, I don't want to lose my life like that again. Then he remembered the question. The question that changed everything. If nothing changes, will I be happy in 5 years? He realized something new. 5 years is not far. 5 years is made of normal days. Days like this. Days you think do not matter. Days you think you can waste. But those days are your life. Ethan sat there and understood the truth. You do not wake up one day and become lost. You become lost one small choice at a time. One late night. One avoided task. One scroll session. One excuse. And in the same way, you do not wake up one day and become strong. You become strong one small choice at a time. One honest question, one small habit, one return, one step. That night, Ethan drove home slowly. He did not rush. He did not escape. He stayed present. When he walked into his apartment, he did not reach for his phone. He took off his shoes. He washed his hands. He drank water. He sat at his desk and opened his notebook. He wrote today's date at the top. Then he wrote one sentence. I want a life I do not need to escape from. He stopped and breathed. He let the sentence sink in. Then he wrote another sentence. If nothing changes, I will not be happy. He did not write it to scare himself. He wrote it to guide himself. Because truth is not cruel. Truth is a compass. Then he wrote one more line. So I will change something small today. He looked at the page and asked, what is my one small change tonight? He chose something simple. He turned his phone off for the last hour. He prepared tomorrow. He cleaned one small area of his room. He set his clothes out. He wrote one clear goal for the morning. Then he went to bed. Not with noise. Not with endless scrolling. With calm. In the morning he woke up and did the same thing. Breathe. No phone. Notebook. One goal. And that is how his life kept changing. Not with drama. Not with miracles. With direction. Months later, Ethan noticed something that made him smile. He felt alive more often, not every second, but more than before. He enjoyed simple things again. A quiet morning, a good conversation, a walk outside, a clean room, a finished task, a rested mind. He still had problems. He still had stress, but he no longer felt lost inside his own life, because he had something stronger than motivation. He had clarity, and he had a habit of returning. Now, I want to speak to you, not as a teacher above you, as a calm friend beside you. If you feel empty, you are not broken. If you feel tired, you are not weak. If you feel lost, you are not a failure. You might simply be living without direction. You might be moving fast on the wrong path. You might be repeating days that do not match your heart. So take a moment. Right now. Close your eyes for 2 seconds. Take one slow breath and ask yourself the question, if nothing changes, will I be happy with my life in 5 years? Do not answer fast. Let the question sit inside you. Let it be honest. Let it be real. If the answer hurts, do not run. Pain can be a door. Discomfort can be a guide. Then do the next thing. The simple thing. The powerful thing. Choose one small change today. Not 10. 1. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Write one goal. Protect 1 hour at night. Walk for 10 minutes. Study for 15 minutes. Drink water. Prepare tomorrow. One small action. And if you fail, return. Return calmly. Return without hate. Return like someone who loves their future. Because discipline is not punishment. Discipline is care. It is choosing your life on purpose. And remember this, direction matters more than speed. You do not need to run. You just need to walk the right way. Thank you for staying with me. If this story helped you, keep learning with stories like this. Your English will grow with every listen. Your life will grow with every small step. Now put your phone down for a moment. Sit straight. Breathe slowly. And decide, what is your one small change today?